Antarctica is one of the most barren and lonely places on the planet, but that does not mean a lot is not happening there, as scientists are all over the place conducting research. We bring you the top 15 terrifying things found in Antarctica. Number 1. Massive hole the size of the state of Maine. Holes are no big deal, many are dug every day. However, NASA scientists were stunned by the sheer size of the hole discovered in Antarctica. The massive hole grew to be the size of Maine and covered 31,000 square miles at its largest, or 19.8 million acres. A similar, albeit smaller, hole was discovered about a year before, prompting scientists to investigate further. Polynya is a phenomenon defined as a stretch of open ice-free water surrounded by sea ice. In the mid-1970s, a polynya formed in the Weddell Sea that was many times larger than the current polynya in Antarctica. This polynya was formed by the physical upwelling of warm, salty waters to the surface. This eventually melted the sea ice and provided a steady replenishment of warm water to the ocean's surface. This warm water cools and sinks and is replaced by deeper, warmer water, and the cycle continues. The polynya will exist as long as the water continues to rise. Scientists are unsure why, after decades of ice, the underlying ocean water began to upwell, forming the polynya. So far, there isn't enough information to determine why the polynya formed 2 years in a row after being absent for decades. As a result, this punch hole in the ice will be studied further by robotic submersibles because it's extremely difficult for humans to reach. This, combined with satellite imagery, will allow scientists to better understand what's going on. Number 2. UFO spotted in Antarctica. Google Earth is an intriguing feature that allows for a more rapid and real-time, three-dimensional view of any number of locations. However, in rare cases, it has produced shocking and mysterious results that are frequently difficult to believe. One such incident has sparked outrage on the internet after a man from the United States claimed to have spotted an unidentified flying object, or UFO, in Antarctica while searching Google Earth. The image was shared by a Reddit user named Lesoy, who claimed to have discovered a rare object floating in the air over Antarctica. On his Reddit handle, the observant user posted an image of a white cylindrical object on a brown background. The rocky-looking, unidentified object was reportedly discovered at 74.0322 south, 22.4506 west, along the edge of the uninhabited, ice-covered landmass's southernmost part. Lesoy posted the photo to Reddit and asked users to assist him in identifying the object in mid-air. He captioned the photo, "Is it a UFO or a rock? Google Earth image of Antarctica." The photograph surfaced amid a flurry of unconfirmed UFO sightings around the world. Number 3. Stardust older than the Sun found in Antarctica. It may be hard to imagine an object on Earth being older than the Sun, the centerpiece of our solar system. However, all it takes to find such an object is a trip to Antarctica, where scientists found stardust older than the Sun itself. This ancient grain is only 1/25,000th of an inch long and has a croissant-like shape, according to researchers. Using various types of microscopes, the researchers examined the stardust and discovered that it was composed of graphite, a type of carbon, and silicate, a salt made up of silicon and oxygen. When the scientists compared this composition to models, they concluded that it was most likely caused by a type of star explosion known as a nova. The tiny speck of stardust was hidden within an Antarctic meteorite, which was catapulted into our celestial neighborhood by an ancient star explosion that predates the formation of our solar system. Nova explosions occur when an ordinary star exchanges energy with a white dwarf, a star that has used up most of its nuclear fuel. The white dwarf consumes the other star, gaining enough new material to reignite itself in powerful outbursts that spew material into space. This is how the LAP-149 sample of stardust formed and traveled through interstellar space to the vicinity of our solar system. And we know this piece of stardust came from a very long distance away because it contains high levels of a very specific form or isotope of carbon. Such high levels have not been observed in any object sampled from our solar system. These star explosions launch ingredients into interstellar space where they eventually become planet seeds. Rare finds like this ancient grain could provide insights into how our solar system formed. Number 4. Giant spiders. Do you think an escape to Antarctica would mean you are not seeing spiders? Of course not. These scary creatures are everywhere, including the coldest places on the planet. Antarctica and the Southern Ocean have these huge sea spiders with horrifying 8 long legs and a proboscis. And to make things more frightening, these spiders grow bigger in these regions than anywhere else in the world. These spiders are actually pycnogonids, a type of primitive marine arthropod that grows to enormous sizes in a phenomenon known as polar gigantism, but scientists have no idea why. Antarctic sea spiders can reach a leg span of nearly 25 centimeters, and polar gigantism affects more than just sea spiders. Copepods, echinoderms, and some mollusks have also been observed to grow to larger sizes in the poles. High oxygen levels combined with slowed metabolisms caused by cold temperatures may have resulted in sea spiders developing their supersized bodies. Slower metabolisms use less oxygen, and sea spiders get their oxygen from diffusion. According to researchers, large-bodied organisms require an abundance of oxygen for a system like this to work. To investigate further, the team drilled deep into the Antarctic sea ice. Scuba divers swam down to the sea floor after breaking through the ice and reaching the water beneath it, where temperatures ranged from -1.5 to -1.8 degrees Celsius. Sea spiders collected during the dive were tested in a variety of temperatures and dissolved oxygen content conditions. So far, the researchers have discovered that larger sea spiders are negatively affected by low oxygen levels, lending credence to their hypothesis. Number 5. Singing ice found in Antarctica. What do you do when the urge to bump to some tunes gets a hold of you? Most people will slap on their earbuds and rock to something from their phones. However, Antarctica offers its own special entertainment in the form of singing ice. Yes, you heard right, singing ice. While the music of the ice shelf is not audible to human ears, the researchers were able to eavesdrop using seismic sensors. When they listened to recordings made on the ice shelf over the course of 2 years, they discovered that the ice was almost constantly singing at a frequency of 5 Hz or 5 cycles per second. This doleful hum is generated by the blowing of regional and local winds. They also discovered that the characteristics of its song changed in response to events that affected the surface snow and ice, such as storms that shifted the positions of snow dunes or excessive melting. Interestingly, scientists discovered the vibration by chance. They installed 34 seismic sensors on the Ross Ice Shelf to monitor other aspects of ice shelf behavior, but when they reviewed the data, they discovered that the topmost snow layer was vibrating almost constantly due to the active winds that whipped over its uneven surface, causing the seismic hum. It's like someone is constantly blowing a flute on the ice shelf. The pitch of the hum also changes subtly under certain conditions, such as when powerful storms change the shape of the snow dunes and when a warming event causes surface melt. Number 6. Monster bird with 21 feet long wingspan found in Antarctica. Birds can grow to massive sizes, but few will ever reach the size of this found in the cold region of Antarctica. However, don't expect to see these majestic birds gliding across the sky, as it was their fossils that were discovered. Not long after the dinosaurs died out, a new breed of giants emerged, monster birds with wingspans up to 21 feet or 6.4 meters long, roughly the length of a U-Haul truck. A new study of Antarctic fossils reveals that these massive birds darkened the skies above the continent as early as 50 million years ago. Very large species of these birds, known as pelagornithids, arose less than 15 million years after an asteroid wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. The study focused on a bone from a bird's foot discovered in the 1980s on Seymour Island near the Antarctic Peninsula. Peter Close, a paleontology graduate student at the University of California, Berkeley, discovered the bones collected by the University of California Museum of Paleontology. As he read the notes that came with the bone, he realized that the bones were from an older rock than had previously been recognized. Instead of 40 million years old, as stated on the label, the bone was 50 million years old and significantly larger than other pelagornithid bones discovered at that time. Pelagornithids were an ancient group of birds. The oldest fossil dates back to 62 million years. These newly discovered birds resembled modern-day albatrosses with massive wingspans that would have allowed them to soar for days or even weeks over the open ocean. Modern albatrosses, on the other hand, have wingspans of up to 11.5 feet or 3.5 meters. The wingspan of the 50-million-year-old pelagornithid would have been nearly double that. Number 7. Fish with antifreeze. Cars with internal combustion engines struggle to work when it's very cold, which was why antifreeze was invented. However, that was preceded by this amazing fish discovered in Antarctica that has its own antifreeze in its body. A small fish glowing green and red was discovered by museum researchers diving in the icy water surrounding Greenland. This glow, known as biofluorescence, is unusual for fish in the Arctic, where there are long periods of darkness. The tiny snailfish they discovered is still the only polar fish known to exhibit biofluorescence. Now, in the same way that antifreeze in your car prevents the water in your radiator from freezing in cold temperatures, some animals have evolved amazing machinery to keep themselves from freezing, such as antifreeze proteins, which prevent ice crystals from forming. Fish, unlike some reptiles and insects, cannot survive even partial freezing of their body fluids, so they rely on antifreeze proteins, primarily produced in the liver, to prevent the formation of large ice grains inside their cells and body fluids. This discovery emphasizes the significance of antifreeze proteins in sub-zero temperatures. It also raises concerns about how these highly specialized animals will fare in warming environments. Arctic seas do not support a diverse range of fish species, and this research suggests that as ocean temperatures rise, ice-dwelling specialists like this snailfish may face increased competition from more temperate species that were previously unable to survive at these higher northern latitudes. Number 8. Ancient rainforest discovered in Antarctica. The sterile white colors of Antarctica may not inspire visitors to think of green spaces. However, scientists have uncovered evidence that the cold region once contained lush rainforests. A thriving temperate rainforest existed in West Antarctica about 90 million years ago, according to fossil roots, pollen, and spores recently discovered there, according to a new study. Back then, the world was a very different place. Dinosaurs roamed Earth during the Cretaceous period 145 million to 65 million years ago, and sea levels were 558 feet or 170 meters higher than they are today. In the tropics, sea surface temperatures reached 95 degrees Fahrenheit or 35 degrees Celsius. This scorching climate allowed a rainforest to grow in Antarctica similar to those found in New Zealand today. The rainforest's remains were discovered beneath the ice in a sediment core collected from a seabed near Pine Island Glacier in West Antarctica by a team of international researchers. The team knew they had something unusual as soon as they saw the core. The layer that formed approximately 90 million years ago was a different color. The team returned to the lab and scanned the core with a CT scanner. The resulting digital image revealed a dense network of roots that extended throughout the soil layer. The dirt also revealed Cretaceous-era pollen, spores, and the remains of flowering plants. And another scientist was able to reconstruct West Antarctica's 90-million-year-old vegetation and climate by analyzing pollen and spores. The numerous plant remains indicate that the West Antarctica coast was once a dense, temperate, swampy forest, similar to the forests found today in New Zealand. The sediment core revealed that West Antarctica had a mild climate during the mid-Cretaceous period, with an annual mean air temperature of about 54 Fahrenheit or 12 Celsius, similar to that of Seattle. Summer temperatures would have averaged 66 degrees Fahrenheit or 19 degrees Celsius. Water temperatures in rivers and swamps could have reached 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 20 degrees Celsius. Number 9. Upside-down rivers in Antarctica. Upside-down rivers may sound like an absurd impossibility, except you're in Antarctica. The world's ice shelves are at the most risk of climate change. Ice shelves help to stem the tide of melting glaciers by spreading outward over the ocean like thick frost balconies. Antarctica is surrounded by nearly 600,000 square miles or 1.5 million square kilometers of ice shelves, through which 80% of the continent's melting ice passes. However, a new study suggests that those ice dams have a fatal flaw in the face of Earth's warming oceans. Researchers use satellite imagery to look at Antarctica's sheer margins, fragile areas near the edges of ice shelves where huge cracks tend to spread, and discovered a troubling pattern. Certain cracks appeared in the same places year after year, often stretching across the tips of their ice shelves and carving huge chunks into the sea. These cracks were frequently accompanied by long, sagging troughs and large holes in the ice, implying that a natural force beneath the shelves causes the same regions to buckle and break year after year. Massive currents of warm, buoyant water appear to be carving upside-down rivers into the bottoms of the ice shelves, nibbling away at their already frail edges. Warm water circulation is attacking the undersides of these ice shelves at their most vulnerable points. Number 10. Laughing gas that knocked out researchers. Having a good laugh every now and then is good for the body. However, when scientists studying Antarctica went cuckoo with laughter, they knew something was wrong. The culprit? Feces from king penguins. The researchers from Denmark's University of Copenhagen were looking into the impact of glacier retreat and penguin activity on greenhouse gas emissions. They did this by going on a research trip to South Georgia, an island in the southern Atlantic Ocean that has the world's largest colony of king penguins, which contained about 150,000 breeding pairs. Penguin feces, known as guano, has been shown to emit massive amounts of nitrous oxide, or N2O. This is a powerful greenhouse gas with a warming effect that is approximately 300 times that of carbon dioxide. When penguins consume fish and krill that have absorbed large amounts of nitrogen via phytoplankton, N2O is produced. Nitrogen is released from the guano and converted into N2O by the soil it lands on. Despite being a greenhouse gas, N2O has its positive uses. It is used as a sedative by dentists and is used recreationally by some people due to its psychoactive effects. These include causing fits of laughter and making the user feel euphoric and relaxed. And after several hours of nosing around in guano, one becomes completely cuckoo, according to Bo Elberling, the lead researcher. You start to feel ill and suffer from a headache. He added that the N2O emissions at the colony are around 100 times higher than a newly fertilized field in Denmark. Number 11. Green icebergs in Antarctica. When you think of an iceberg, you may imagine a large floating block of white ice that has broken free from a glacier or ice shelf. But they can actually be a variety of colors such as white, blue, and even green. Icebergs are large blocks of ice that separate or cave from a glacier or ice shelf and float freely in the ocean. Icebergs are usually composed of three types of ice: marine ice, sea ice, and glacial ice. This is frequently topped with snow. The difference in the color of these three types of ice can be seen from the surface as icebergs rotate in the water. But what makes the icebergs in Antarctica green? It was thought that the green color of marine ice was caused by colored dissolved organic matter, which is also responsible for the green and yellow color of coastal waters. Because dissolved organic material is yellow, adding it to blue ice would result in a green iceberg. However, when experts measured the dissolved organic matter in the green icebergs, they discovered that green ice had the same amount as blue ice. As a result, there must be another factor causing the ice to turn green. Researchers took samples of both marine and glacial ice from the Emery Ice Shelf in East Antarctica. They examined the particulate and dissolved iron content and discovered that the marine ice at the core's bottom had an iron concentration nearly 500 times that of the glacial ice above. Because iron oxides have a yellow color, it was proposed that the combination of iron oxides and blue ice causes the green coloration of marine ice. However, where does the iron come from? Well, iron minerals are abundant in Antarctica's bedrock geology. As the glaciers move across land, they abrade the bedrock into a fine powder known as a glacial flour, which the glacier transports and deposits into the sea. Glacial flour can stay suspended below the ice shelf for a long time as it's gradually incorporated into the marine ice as it forms. Number 12. Dinosaurs in Antarctica. Once upon a time, the vast southern landmass was covered in forests, and dinosaurs roamed freely. But how could such an icy wilderness have once been warm enough to support Earth's most massive creatures? To understand this, we have to go back in geological time. Antarctica was ice-free during the Cretaceous period, as mentioned before. That long ago may seem distant, but we know it because it was the last age of the dinosaurs before an asteroid hit the Earth and ended their existence. There were forests at both poles during this time period. Scientists have been able to piece together a picture of the climate using fossils of trees and cold-blooded reptiles. Cold-blooded reptiles require the warmth of the sun to survive. We now see them basking in the sun during the day to warm up. So it must have been warm enough at the poles where the sun disappears during the winter months for them to survive the darkness. Scientists discovered the first dinosaur fossils in Antarctica's central transantarctic mountains. The bones of Cryolophosaurus elioti, a species unknown to science, were discovered near the Beardmore Glacier on Mount Kirkpatrick. A pterosaur, a flying reptile, a tritylodont, a mammal-like reptile, and another dinosaur, Glacialisaurus hammeri, was discovered alongside this specimen. All of them were found to be unique to Antarctica, indicating that by this time, barriers were preventing populations from exchanging genes across Pangaea. Additional excavations on Mount Kirkpatrick uncovered more Cryolophosaurus bones at the original site, as well as bones of another Glacialisaurus or possibly a new dinosaur species at a new site. Number 13. World's oldest pyramid found in Antarctica. Egypt is famous for its massive pyramids that serve as the final resting places of its past monarchs. However, the honor of the oldest pyramid might go to Antarctica thanks to a new finding. Ancient alien theorists who believe secret pyramids are hidden all over the world believe some may be hidden on Antarctica. They point to one structure on the icy continent near the Shackleton mountain range. When viewed from space, the pyramid has 4 steep sides. In fact, this shocking discovery was presented on the History Channel's TV series Ancient Aliens, which investigates various extraterrestrial theories. One episode of the show explored the possibility that such pyramids were left behind by ancient alien visitors or long-lost human civilizations. According to theory author David Childress, the Shackleton Pyramid could be the oldest of its kind on the planet. He said, "If this massive pyramid in Antarctica is an artificial structure, it would probably be the oldest pyramid on the planet, and it might even be the master pyramid that all other pyramids on planet Earth were designed to look like." He claimed the Antarctic Pyramid is only one node in a global network of power-generating pyramids strategically placed around the planet. Another supporter of the pyramid theory also said the triangular structures serve as sort of power generators built for the purpose of wirelessly transmitting vast amounts of energy. Number 14. Scientists find life buried deep under 900 meters of ice in Antarctica. The accidental discovery of marine organisms on a boulder on the sea floor beneath a 900-meter-high or 3,000-foot-high Antarctic ice shelf has caused scientists to reconsider the limits of life on Earth. Researchers discovered the life-giving rock while drilling a borehole through the Filchneron ice shelf in the southeastern Weddell Sea to obtain a sediment core from the seabed. While the boulder thwarted their attempts to retrieve the core, footage from a video camera sent down the hole captured the first images of organisms stuck to a rock deep beneath an ice shelf. While surveys of Antarctic marine life have discovered some small mobile organisms such as fish, worms, jellyfish, and krill deep beneath ice shelves, they have never discovered stationary filter feeders that survive by ingesting food that falls on them. Many scientists understandably suspected that their absence was due to the total darkness, lack of food, and -2 degrees Celsius temperature being too hostile for them. However, this boulder is home to at least 2 types of sponges. One of them has a long stem that opens into a head according to photos and video footage. Other organisms, possibly tube worms or stalked barnacles, appear to be growing on the rock as well. The isolated boulder community is 500 meters beneath the ice shelf and 160 miles or 260 kilometers from open water. But because of the area's strong currents, the food they eat, possibly dead plankton, is thought to travel between 370 and 930 miles before reaching them. Number 15. Shackleton's lost ship. Scientists have discovered and filmed one of the greatest undiscovered shipwrecks in history 107 years after it went down. The Endurance, the lost vessel of Antarctic explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton, was discovered at the bottom of the Weddell Sea. The ship was crushed by sea ice and sank in 1915, forcing Shackleton and his men to make an astonishing escape on foot and in small boats. Endurance appears to be in excellent condition in video footage of the remains. Even after sitting under 3 kilometers or 10,000 feet of water for over a century, it still looks the same as the day it went down. The timbers are still very much intact and the name Endurance is clearly visible on the stern. The subs have combed a predefined search area for over 2 weeks, investigating various interesting targets before finally discovering the wreck site on the 100th anniversary of Shackleton's funeral. The days following the discovery were spent meticulously photographing the timbers and surrounding debris fields. The wreck itself is a designated monument under the Antarctic Treaty and must not be disturbed in any way. As a result, no physical artifacts have been brought to the surface. Let's hear what you think of these discoveries in the comments section below.